2020 will go down as one of the worst years in modern history, but the markets didn't seem to mind. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, December the 27th. And as I stated, this is one of the worst years in modern history. And of course, today's Bubba's Line first part is being brought to you by the CTG Group, our futures and commodity partner. Now, again, we have other brokers, but CTG is who we prefer, and that is the only broker that is licensed to handle our letter of direction trading for our futures and commodities or our futures portfolios. But in the meantime, again, the markets didn't care. Okay, here we are. Markets are still higher for the year, having a big year, and we'll get more about the markets in our market segment. But I think when you look at overall from the pandemic to the election to everything else, I mean, pretty surprising. I don't know how many people could have predicted that this market would be in the shape it is. And of course, you know, even looking at Sunday night, which again, we will get to a little bit later. But I think we have seen some interesting things happening, and one of them being the revitalization or the reviving of cryptocurrency, as Bitcoin made new record highs and is flying as we speak. Now, where it'll end, who knows? Is it real? Well, we believe that it's real. We believe this is a rebellion against the Federal Reserve, you know, a free system that cannot be manipulated. As you may or may not realize, the fiat currencies are about the most ridiculously manipulated markets in the world. And that is, you watch as, you know, you've heard the Chinese call it currency manipulators. Well, they're all currency manipulators, from the UK to the US to anybody else who has a fiat currency, which is backed by nothing. It is error. So what you really have is the ability to create or print as much money as you want. And especially today, because there's no more printing, it's all done digitally, which will lead us to the digital currency, and not the kind of digital currency we want, but a digital currency that can be probably somewhat manipulated in time. But again, overall, you see the beauty of how the Fed works, and of course, as they continue to whine about the lack of inflation. Remember, they are hiding inflation through the manipulation of the currency. So, you know, ask any farmer if they feel the pinch of inflation when their crops are in the toilet and yet their input costs are going dramatically higher. It is the biggest crock of crap ever developed and ever listened to. Of course, that goes along with the Phillips curve and the entire antiquated movement of the Federal Reserve. You know, the Fed that should be ended, okay, as you know, I'm not a lover. But, you know, we don't need somebody to manipulate currency. What we need is to let free markets trade free and let asset classes price themselves. They're very capable through true and fair price discovery as we continue to watch housing go bananas. Now think about the pandemic, that nobody is working yet housing is soaring. Okay. So you have to ask yourself, well, what makes that happen? And of course, obviously, it's cheap money. We'll call it free money, because certainly if you know how to invest your money, you would certainly be borrowing every dime you could at these low rates and investing it for a higher return. You would be doing your own arbitrage. But interestingly enough, in many communities, in many income brackets, the applications for credit are way down, but the approval rate is the disapproval rate, we'll say, or the rejection of, is way up. And so now what you're suddenly seeing is, in some areas, the ability to, loan. And of course, with the Fed taking off the restrictions of the banking system, which is, you want to talk about stress tests and if they could really pass them. And I will bet, listen, I can't prove it because they keep telling us they passed them. I would bet a lot of money that nobody, well, not nobody, I'm sure a couple do, but very few have enough in true reserve to actually cover the amount of money that they have out on the street. And that will be, again, the problem when we do melt down, and nobody can predict when we do melt down. Don't let anybody kid you to say that they know, because nobody knows. We're all full of crap. Okay? The markets will melt down again someday. When that day, nobody knows. But we also know that the markets do continue to go up 8% year over year. So through it all, through whether you support the new administration coming in or you were a fan of the old administration going out, markets have a way to extend and stay and understand what's going on, as does the general economy and everything else. Now, of course, we are seeing more and more ways to shut out any competition for the President of the United States because the country is basically more on the left anyways. But you're going to see it's even going to be harder. And if Georgia does not go properly, it could get ugly. But again, overall, the country, America, will survive. And we should be able to get past it, or we could become Venezuela. But I don't think that is tomorrow. But that is certainly a potential at some point, because there is a lot of issues out there. And, just you take, for example, the Democratic Party was supposed to be for small business, yet it is for big business. Look at what's happened as the small business has been shut down. Now, again, I will ask the question I've asked before: why should Walmart be allowed to be open and not your local drugstore where you like to get your prescriptions? Okay. And of course, we just finished the Christmas season. Merry Christmas, everybody. But how would a small business survive when they couldn't even be open in half of the states around the country? So you see how we selectively allow certain businesses to stay in business while limiting others. And of course, online shopping was up 49% this year. Now, that's not a surprise considering that most stores were closed. Many people didn't want to go out. And, so that, again, we're seeing all kinds of reasons why. But what you've really seen, and really, who are the big supporters of the left but Hollywood and many of the big time stars, because they've already earned their money. They've already protected their money. So what do they care? Okay. So they're going to go to the socialist side of the ledger because they aren't going to be affected by it. This is something that we seem to neglect and forget. Okay. They're already there. Now, if you're trying to get there, you might not be able to make it. Again, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, okay? Look, I'm an American, I support the country, but I do see many issues, and not that it'll affect me. I don't think any of it will affect me personally. I've already changed or will be changing my residence to another state to save on taxes, okay? I will be doing what I can do, but, the massive problems will come generations down the road, and your children or your grandchildren, somebody is going to have to pay the piper eventually. You cannot continue at the current pace. And this goes to the stimulus bill, which I hope never passes. Okay. I don't believe in stimulus. I believe in going out and getting a job. I believe in work. Okay. I don't believe in free money because free money does nothing for anybody. It does not stimulate work. It does not stimulate the economy. All it does is it allows people to sit home on their couch and do nothing and get paid for it. But yet we want to have more of it, which means that we, the taxpayer who actually work and pay taxes, are doing nothing more than funding these programs. Of course, the government, Congress, and the Senate, God almighty, they voted themselves I think it was a $57,000 a year raise. Now, what kind of bullshit is that? Okay, how many paychecks did they miss during this whole pandemic? Are we going to really stand for that? But of course we did, because that's how the vote went. But do you really think that that is a fair and equal system when your representatives don't have the same health insurance you have? They don't have Obamacare. They've got private insurance. They just got a raise. They didn't miss a paycheck, and yet we keep voting them in. What does that show you about the things that we're doing in this country? Okay. I don't know about you, but it certainly reeks of crap from me. Okay. They don't deserve a raise. They don't deserve anything. Okay. And certainly they should not have been getting paid when we were not getting paid. When we could not work and the countries were shut down, should Congress and the Senate be paid? What do you think? I think it's ridiculous. Okay. But, I think one of the big things also that has changed in life, and this is on a different topic, but, the effects of real-time data. It's amazing how far the internet has come and how much effect it has had on markets themselves, because there is very few surprises to markets anymore, number one. Number two, you look at something, you look at a catalog or something, you look at a product online, and next thing you know, they're advertising it to you on whatever website you look at. So it is interesting at the speed of light, is which how fast real-time data has changed everything. And, again, which makes the cryptocurrencies even more of a viable option because of technology. And certainly at some point we would see some sort of rebellion, and there's going to be the attempt, now whether or not they can do anything about it, we will see, to cut down or shut down the cryptocurrency world. Because, of course, the government and the Federal Reserves or central banks around the globe, they want the control of the money, because that's how they hide a lot of the thievery that goes on behind the scenes that we never get to see. So keep that in mind as you watch, but certainly the crypto space is a space to think about. Do not take everything and go there. But certainly I would take whatever I would say would be income or money that I wouldn't mind losing if I was wrong. I would certainly be playing or investing into that space, because it does look real. It does look like there's a real opportunity. And at some point we could see, and not an overthrow, but we could see a takedown or an attempted takedown of the Federal Reserve, because in current form, it is no more than a waste of time, waste of money, reach their hands deep in our pockets to help us finance and fund their ignorance. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, December the 27th, and I hope you had a great Christmas. We're going to step out of a break, and we'll be back with our market report right after the break. Well, kids, we did talk about one of our brokerage partners at the opening, and of course, the other brokerage partner that we have is the Tradier Brokerage. Now, again, we have other equity brokers as well, but we prefer Tradier because they're $10 a month. Now, again, I don't know about you, but I don't like giving my money away. Okay, I don't mind spending it. I don't mind doing things with it. But if I can get the same product for a lot less, why wouldn't I? But now it is official. We had our webinar yesterday with our hedgers, who will now have the ability, if they choose, to have total automation and do all their hedging through our software, through Tradier. Now, we will explore other brokers in time, but it still will not solve the $10 a month fee you're paying, okay, that you're still going to have to pay for. But we are going to explore because listen, this is a totally optional product. You can get the software without it. You can get the updates without it. We don't force you to auto trade. We don't care. We're giving you the choice or the option if it benefits you. And of course, our partners at Family Farms, we have been new partners with them for 6 or 7 months. But of course, the 6 or 7 months has been through this ridiculous pandemic. But we have been able to get the message out to many farmers and help them. And that's our whole goal. And Family Farmers' goals is to help our American farmers, make the most money, protect themselves as they work, because nobody works harder than the American farmer. And our commodity report written by Andy Hecht, there is nothing like it. And when you see these quarterlies that are coming out, I will tell you that they are spectacular. And if you're a commodities person that likes to trade, you cannot ask for better information tying in our algorithms with his commodity report. You are certainly welcome to get an old issue. I will be happy to send it to you. You can just email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com. And of course, don't forget about our high school program. As you know, Bubba Trading has an investing program. We're trying to teach financial literacy to high school kids. And we make no money on it. We lose money. We pay for about 92% out of our own pocket. And we had some help for about the other 8% through people like you at Patreon who want to help us out. And if you'd like to be one of those, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and what's going on in the markets with me, Todd Bubba Horwitz. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, December the 27th. And of course, markets, Monday night, Monday morning, it looked like the world was coming to an end. The Dow was down over 1,000. The S&P was down over 100. The NASDAQ was collapsing. It looked like we were going to go down limit. And it's funny because I had sent out a note to everybody. I said, don't be surprised if we come all the way back and close higher on the day. And interesting enough, the Dow did get positive for a few minutes, but did close lower on the day. And they did close net lower, small in the week, with the exception of the Russell, which continues for the 8th week in a row now, has been higher. I mean, it is amazing because just a few months ago, the Russell was the weakest of them all and was the one that we would use to potentially short if we wanted to pick up a short position. And now it has become the strongest, going up at such a ridiculous pace that it has to have a pullback. But in the meantime, so net, we're still long across the board. Markets were down marginally with the exception of the NASDAQ, which was up pretty big. Okay. And apologies, the Russell. And again, we will continue to stay obviously long until something changes. But that overnight Sunday, Monday action caused a free fall just about everywhere. The metals were tanking and they were collapsing. And we were, unfortunately, good enough for us, we had just reversed everything along. But they did all come back. Now, the metals were, again, very minor lower for the week. And we look for and expect the rallies to continue in metals as well. We made it through, not I guess officially yet, but, this time of year is typically, historically, the weakest time. Now, we don't look at history in our trades. Our trades are driven directly by price action and by our algorithms. But you do understand that we also understand what has happened in history. But again, it will not affect a trade we make. But overall, it has really survived. And we basically reversed into a weak period of year, which would bode pretty well, I think, for the future metals. We like them long term, but short term, whatever the right direction is the one we want to be in. And I give you full disclosure all the time. I am long metals across the board, and I own physical metals, and I'm always buying physical metals. I don't sell that. I'm just an accumulator of it. But I will trade from either side, whatever I'm dictated to do. The Oil was, again, marginally lower for the week, but looks pretty solid. Came down to some, most places, most business indexes came down to key support levels before popping and going back up again. Okay. Now, again, they were it was slightly lower, slightly lower. But oil, again, I hate being long oil, but right now, who would argue? I mean, OPEC's going to take over. That's pretty evident. So we know that. And, if we don't win Georgia in January, it could be very ugly for the entire, gas world for us, for our side, because we are still the number one producer, and without OPEC. And now, if we turn back over to OPEC, God help us all. You will see more taxes and more price hikes. You will see gas at the pumps like you never have seen before, which obviously leads to that it seems to be acceptable to be long oil. Bonds and notes were slightly higher and were long, but they didn't do much either. It wasn't like you would think. Now, it's interesting, with interest rates really continuing to fall, bonds should be rising, but they have not. We're going to find out shortly which is right. Now, it looks to me, and based on what the Federal Reserve said, especially in their last meeting, is they're going to continue to keep rates lower for longer. They are going to continue to infuse and buy bonds. So we would expect to see a bond rally. But something is fishy in that whole equation. So either the bond futures are going to explode higher or interest rates are. And copper, I mean, it had a couple of down days, but we expected that. And of course, it exploded higher. Net gas, very flattish, slightly lower, but we're at a period of time that it should start to rise. We're at very, very low prices. Now they can go lower. Listen, there is no price that's too low. There is no price that's too high, depending on the market action. Now we are so short net gas, but it can go in either direction. And certainly at these levels, I'm not a huge fan of being short down here. I don't like to be short at what I would consider very low prices, just like I don't like to be long at what I consider high prices. And when it comes to markets, you never know. But when it comes to commodities, there are some things that are more concerning than general equity markets. The dollar was slightly higher, but it is getting destroyed. And of course, that is the Fed plan, is to destroy the dollar. They say it's better for exports. Yeah, I'm still waiting for somebody to explain to me why that is better. But, this is what they do around the globe. Everybody lowers their own currency. What they're really doing, in my guys, is they're just wiping out wealth, one step at a time. Okay. Because when you destroy value, okay, so what? You're making more money. But net, you're not making more money. It's just not what I consider to be a healthy situation. I don't like it. I don't understand it. And you know what? To me, if there's enough demand and everybody would just let their currencies trade freely, we would find out what true value was. Unfortunately, we don't get that luxury, nor at this point do we have a choice. Okay. But you will see things happening in these markets. And of course, as we have been on and been long the grain and meat markets or proteins, the grains exploded last week again. And just when you thought there was trouble in the grain world, suddenly, boom, there they are, making new highs once again. Not all-time new highs, but new short-term new highs. They look great. I mean, there is no reason to believe, between some of the world events that are going on, between some of the weather issues we're seeing in other parts of the country, that China is going to have to come to us anyways. That was always the case. I am not happy that we will be back in bed with China with the new administration. I liked it better when we kept them at bay, because the grain prices were not dependent on whether China's buying or not. The grain prices are very much just dependent on supply and demand. And because 6 months ago, the world was well oversupplied, Well, with a few problems and a few things coming on, the oversupply is dwindling, which is obviously pushing prices much higher. Now, we've been long for a while, and I don't see anything in soon that's going to change that. And I expect, when I look at the markets, I expect the meats, the proteins, to do the same thing. They're in that pretty much consolidation pattern, and although we are long across the board, they're pretty much just in a consolidating pattern, trying to lean to the upside. But I think you'll see the same result. We went through some major issues. Again, this COVID virus, really threw a damper on things, because what really happened is not only did the farmers get screwed on one hand, the retail customer got screwed on the other hand because of all the supply disruption, because of the lack of slaughterhouses, and it brought prices way up because there was a shortage of supply, because we could not get enough of it taken care of. And that is but now that appears to be solved, you could expect to see, in my opinion, dramatically higher prices again. And I think we see a big run, very much to what we just saw in the grain markets. Now, we'll see if I'm right. And if I'm right, great. We'll make a lot of money. If I'm wrong, we'll reverse and we'll make a lot of money on that side. So, we look to make money either way. And of course, these soft markets, which we are long cotton, long coffee, long OJ, short OJ, and short coffee, cocoa and short sugar. We've had a pretty good run there, and, we're seeing some reversal signals. Again, markets make big moves to a certain point either direction, and typically they will tend to reverse. Now, let's see where we go from here. They were relatively flattish this last week as well. It was a relatively flat week because of very quiet. And I would expect from the entire market structure, this week should probably be quieter than last week, because, we're at the end of the year. Now, the one thing I want to warn you about is, first of all, I do expect a pretty significant down day. Now, I don't know if it'll be before the end of the year, and not because I am concerned about the market, only because in the natural order of markets, the Russell cannot continue to go parabolic to the upside. Markets don't work that way. Okay, so I would just be very careful. But for the most part, I would not be doing much this week at all, other than if I'm trading in my algorithms, trading those, or if I was trying to exit some positions, I would be doing that. Okay, but I am not interested in being active this week, because I do not believe that an active trader will be very happy, which is why when I was a floor trader, we used to take off this time of year, because there just wasn't anything to do. So just be careful. We know that we have a short week again, but this Thursday, instead of a half a day like last week, is a full day trading. But I don't expect much. I expect quiet activity all the way through, but the opportunity exists for a huge down day, and that is just out of natural trade ability. I wouldn't be concerned. It does not change the trend, but I would be prepared. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. We're going to step out for our final break and come back with my commentary and my final pick. My final pick of 21, maybe not my final, but close to my final football pick of 2020, excuse me. Bubba's Bottom Line. We'll be right back. Okay, kids. Well, again, we talk about family farms all the time. They are a great partner, somebody that we can't wait to be able to actually meet live with again. We met with them before, and then suddenly the pandemic hit, and we just can't wait to get back on the road and start to meet and start to present and share with farmers some of these ideas. And of course, our other brokerage partner in the CTG group. Now, I do have other brokers, but our other partner in commodities and futures, who is the only authorized vendor of our algorithms, our trading mechanism, which I use myself. They've got 90% of my accounts they handle. They do a terrific job, great customer service. They've also got some great managed futures products on their own. If you'd like to check them out, you can reach out to them anytime. They'll be happy to hang out and talk to you. They give you all the information you need. And of course, our commodity report written by Andy Hecht, it is just a phenomenal report. I urge you to check it out, and I did offer you, and will offer here, if you want to see last week's issue, I'll be happy to send it to you. Just email me at bub@bubbatrading.com and tell me you want a copy. I'll send it to you. But we are going to present it again, but it is a terrific model, especially since we tied in our algorithms. And of course, our high school investing program, which is our goal is to try to give and help high school kids with some financial literacy. And of course, we do fund about 92% of it. But if you'd like to help through Patreon, that's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, my commentary for December the 27th, Sunday. Welcome back. We are at Bubba's Bottom Line. And, of course, every week I do some kind of commentary on something. And I've got a number of things today, but I just wanted to recap our own personal year. We had a good year. We did well. We made money. And of course, that's always the key when you're trying to trade or invest. We experienced, one of our biggest drawdowns in history in between, and of course, which makes, and the reason I bring that up for you here is I'm full of free disclosure. I don't want anybody to believe that it's easy, but also to remind you that leverage, although a good tool, can be very dangerous, and if not managed properly, will certainly lead you to the poorhouse. So make sure, whether you're with me or you're trading on your own or you're trading with some other service, it's all good. Just be careful of the amount of leverage that you use, because leverage, although valuable and very important to traders, is also very dangerous if misunderstood. It does not forgive you if you make a mistake. It breaks you. So my warning to you is we were able to survive and have a good year through it all because we know how to be properly leveraged. And I want you to make sure that you understand it before you allow somebody to get you mixed up in something that will put you in the poorhouse. Very important. Again, I care about people out there. I want you to have the right financial literacy to understand and not blindly follow those who make such ridiculous projections that are virtually an impossibility. And of course, football tonight. Pretty good game, I think. I don't want to really understand the line. It looks kind of chintzy to me, which always leads me to believe maybe I'm thinking wrong, but it's Green Bay against Tennessee. Now, Green Bay is obviously going to be the number one seed, not obviously, but probably the number one seed. And of course, that's a big deal this year because there's only one team in each conference that gets it. But they're only 3 over Tennessee. Now, to me, that's almost like a red flag. So normally I would like Green Bay at this number, but it's concerning. Now, again, I'm not getting off of Green Bay, but it would not be a large wager for me here. This would be the pizza and a beer and maybe dessert to go with it, but nothing more. This is not a game to get overly carried away with, because at the end of the day, they could carry you out. Just like leverage in your portfolio, leverage on your wagering has to be kept under control as well. Everybody have a happy, healthy, very prosperous New Year. We look forward to a great 2021, and thank you for your patronage and being part of our team going back through 2020 through a very tough year. Have a great week. Have a great Happy New Year. And of course, we will be back through the week with our daily updates. But if you're only a Sunday listener, happy, healthy New Year. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next year. That was Bottom Line, Sunday, December 27th. Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year. We'll see you later.